If you haven't already, please make sure that you put your first and last name at the top of your paper. Today's date is the 13th. This week, we have our warm-up that we're going to submit. We have our homework that we're going to submit. We have a quarter test on Thursday. Okay? Yes, babe.
So do we do like reading and science?
The quarter test, we will take our quarter test during electives on Thursdays. It will either be in the media center or will be in the multipurpose room. I don't know which room we'll be in, but that announcement will be made before that day. Okay? These are the essential questions here. Today we're going to do the warm-up. We are going to work on our warm-up. And I'm going to go through scatter plots. It's a quick review because I think that she went through a lot of that with you. Scatter plots. I'm about to say scatter. We have a lot of stuff that we do need to do in the calculator. Did she go over the calculator as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to make sure that we drill that calculator because a large part of scatter plots will be in the calculator active section. Identifying positive, negative, no correlation will probably be on the inactive. It could be on the inactive section. But finding line of best fit. Did you all do line of best fit yet? Okay. Making prediction, correlation, coefficient, causation. Okay. All right. I'm backing up. All right. So we need to make sure that we understand this because it's a lot of details that we need to do with scatter plots. Okay. So we'll do that. I'll figure out exactly where we are with scatter plots here in a few. Your homework, you need to do the packet. It's not a lot to do, so you can probably knock that out in 2 days. And you need to read over your notes. It's super important. Please read over your notes. Read over your notes. Read over your notes. And we're going to be working on the study guide. Okay. We'll probably start the study guide tomorrow. All right. The study guide will be due on Friday. Okay. But of course, it will be in your best interest to do it while we're doing it because you're going to want to know those concepts for the quarter test, okay? I'm going to pause for the calls, give you a chance to write. All right, let's look at our warm-up. All right, I'm going to pause for the calls and give you a chance to answer both questions, and then we'll go over them. All right, let's see what you all have. Let's see what we did. These are two functions, okay? And it says, what is the value of x? So we're solving for x when you set these two functions equal to each other. So you're going to set this equal to this and solve for x. So f of x is this right here, 2x. It's the expression 2x minus 2. G of x is the expression 5x plus 1. Any questions about that part? So now we're going to solve for x. How would I solve this equation for x? What would be the first thing that I would do? Yes, babe.
Subtract 2x from both sides.
Okay, I could subtract 2x from both sides. Move the variables to the same side. Okay, very good, babe. So this is gone, and I'm left with negative 2 is equal to, and on this side, this gives me 3x plus 1. Okay? Now what am I going to do to solve for x? Yes?
Subtract 1 on both sides.
We're going to subtract 1 on both sides. Okay? So what does that give us?
-3 on the left.
-3 is equal to
3x.
Okay. All right. What's the next step here? Yes.
Divide the 3x.
Divide both sides by what number?
3.
3. Good job, babe. So when I divide by 3, what's going to be my value for x?
-1.
It's going to be -1. Raise your hand if you got that right. Okay. Where did you get stumped? Was it the very beginning? It's how to set it up?
Yeah, where it
Okay.
says
Do you understand how to set that up now? Is anybody still lost with how to set that up? Okay, good deal. All right, so let's look at the next one. It says Alan received $50 for his birthday. Okay. He then saved $15 per week. That's a rate right there that he's saving every week. He's putting that up. So that's a positive $15. All right, until he has a total of $305 to buy a video game system. We're going to write an equation to represent, they want X to represent the number of weeks. That's going to be my independent variable. And Y, of course, is my total amount of money. So the first thing they want you to do is write the equation, and then they want you to solve it. How would I write an equation for this? Yes.
13x plus 50 equals 75.
Okay, so we got 15x plus, what you say, baby? 50. All right, and we're going to just say this is equal to y. Okay, that's equal to the total. They just want an equation first. All right, so this is an equation. Now they want you to solve the equation to determine how many weeks it took for him to save the money. So how would I solve the equation? How would I figure out what x is, how many weeks? Any idea of how to do that? Yes.
Plug 305 in for y.
Plug 305 in, which is the total for y, and then solve for x. So that's 305 is equal to 15x plus 50. Okay? All right. So how would I solve for x here? Yes, baby. Subtract 50 from both sides. Okay. What's 305 minus 50? Yes. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. 255. Bring down the equal sign. Here, 50 is gone, and we're left with 15x. Okay? You're going to have to sit up here. Sit up. That's okay. You got your pencil? You need to make corrections here because that's not right. Okay? You got to show your work. You won't get full credit unless you show your work. What's the next step here? Yes, ma'am. Divide both sides by what? 15. Just 15, okay? So when you divide by 15, what's 255? Type that in. What'd you get? 255 divided by 15.
17.
Okay. So X is equal to 17. So it takes 17 weeks to get that kind of money. Any questions? Okay. All right. Your homework, as you can see, is just this one sheet here. Okay. That's why I put on the schedule. I put that gave you 2 days. Maybe you do one side and then do the other side. There's graph paper here for the problems that need to be, if you need the graph paper, that's there. Okay. Make sure that you number when you graph, put the number, because you're going to need graph paper for some of the problems, because you're going to have to graph some of those. Put the number, the problem number for where you're graphing. And yes, on this case, it is okay to write on this sheet, but it's also okay to write on a separate piece of paper. Okay? All right, so you can do this on Monday. If you want to do the whole thing, that's fine, whatever. And then this on Tuesday. But that just breaks it up into 2 days. Yes. Let me pause real quickly. Did it pause? No, it didn't. Give me a second. Okay, take out your interactive notebook, please. And make sure that you have a working calculator. Yes, baby.
Can I go to the bathroom whenever?
Yes. Uh-huh. Open pass. Go ahead and go. Yes. You have to wait for the open pass to come back. Say again.
I can't take those two miles.
Okay. 15. This is the last page that. Did she give you any pages and notes that you had to write?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see somebody's notebook that caught it that have that so I can see what she wrote? Okay. Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am. You have to wait to the last person. Guys, please take care of that. When the pass comes back, the next person goes, okay? Because I'm not gonna remember who was next and all that good stuff. All right, so it looks like she already took care of positive, negative, no correlation. So we are gonna go ahead and do. Did she label independent, dependent, independent? Let me see that. I think that she gave me a half sheet on that. Something. Just to make sure that we covered. You should remember which one's the independent and which one's the dependent, but we do need to label that. Let me see your book again. Okay. All right. So scatter plot, a graph that shows the relationship between a variable that forms a linear equation. So basically, it's a comparison. It's really two quantities. When you compare two quantities together, okay? Positive correlation is when as your x increases, your y increases. That's good. Negative correlation, when your x increases, x is always going to increase because when you read the x-axis, it always goes from left to right. Okay, your y can fluctuate. Okay, so as x increases, your y decreases. So these were the examples here. A no correlation is where your points are all over the place. They're unrelated. Okay, this you would label as your dependent. I don't write as neat as you, but I'm gonna write it right here. Okay, your dependent variable. And this is your labeled as your independent variable. This is your y. This is your x. We kind of already know that, but we need to make sure that we understand that as we're doing scatter plots. This again is your dependent variable, which is your y. And this is your independent, which is your x. Okay? Dependent, independent. Okay? All right, so now she did examples of a positive correlation or no correlation, positive, negative, or no correlation. We just start with positive. Can anybody think of an example of a positive correlation where as your x increases, your y is also going to increase? Yes.
Like the more sleep you get, the better grades you get.
Okay, so they both have to be quantities. So the number of hours studied as your independent, the hours studied, hours is independent, and the grade that you get on your test. As the more hours you study, The probability of your grade being higher should go up. So as X increases, as your hours go up, your grade goes up. Okay? Any other examples of a positive correlation? Yes.
The more customers you have, the more money you're gonna get.
Very good. Excellent. The more customers, number of customers, and the amount of money or income made. Okay? What's another example of a positive correlation? Yes.
The more people that get sick with the disease, it's like more, and like the more people that come into a hospital with the disease, the more people outside are gonna get sick.
The number of people. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
The number of people like that are sick in a hospital and with the number of people that are like outside in the population.
All right. The number of patients sick increases the amount of deaths. Sad, but that's true. Okay. All right. Let's go to a negative correlation. Okay. Negative correlation. They're doing too much. Any examples of a negative correlation? Yes.
The more a product there is, the less it costs.
Say again, baby.
The more a product there is, the less it costs.
The more product there is, the less amount that it costs. That is true because the more they have, they can sell it for cheap. Okay. All right. Yes.
The more amount of people who get a vaccine, the less cases.
Okay. The more people that get vaccinated, the less cases. Okay. Very good. Any other examples of negative correlation? Those are all good examples. Maybe miles traveled and the gallons of gas in the car. The more miles you travel, the less gas you're going to have until, of course, you fill up again. What about no correlation? Yes.
The grade you have on a test and the amount of siblings you have.
Okay. The grade that you have on the test and the amount of siblings that you have, they don't have anything. There's no correlation there. Okay. Those two quantities do not have nothing to do with each other. Another example. Anybody? Come on. Y'all got to think of something. Two quantities that don't have nothing to do with each other. Yes.
The amount of fish in a store compared to airplanes.
Okay. The number of fish in the store compared to the number of airplanes. No, right? They don't have nothing to do with each other. Okay, so you get the idea of no correlation, positive correlation, and negative correlation. Very good on that. Okay. I'm sorry, Cameron, with your book, babe. All right, let's see what else she wrote. Okay, so look. Hours slept. Let's label this as X if we didn't already. Which remember, this is our independent variable. And this is our dependent variable. Okay. So the hours slept and the test scores. Okay. So when you graph it, it had a positive correlation. Okay, I guess so. Right, that makes sense. Any questions about this? All right. ID. Is this supposed to be ID? Is this ID? Okay.
Yeah, it said ID.
ID. The data set has a positive relationship. I don't know what that means.
Supposed to say
If the data set
Or like
identify the data set as having a positive or negative. Oh, okay. So it's just saying identify what it is. That makes sense. All right. So number one, the number of hours a person has driven and the number of miles driven. We already gave that example. Well, no, we didn't. That is a positive relationship because X, the hours increases, so does the miles. The number of miles traveled has increased also. So this is an increase, so this is a positive correlation. Number two, the number of siblings a student has, okay, and the grade that they have on the math test. They don't have nothing to do with each other. Somebody did give that example, okay. The number of weeks a song has been out and the total sales. Okay. This is a positive. So the longer that the song has been out, of course, more people are gonna buy it. All right. And then that just gives those. Okay, so is that the only thing we did? Line of best fit. Okay, good. Um, line of best fit. Interpolate. Good. Extrapolate. She talked about that. What's the difference between interpolate and extrapolate? Because that's the thing that's super important. What is the difference? Yes.
Extrapolate is like when they're out of the scatter plot,
Mm-hmm.
and the interpolate is like when it's inside the scatter plot.
When you can find the answer inside the scatter plot, then that's interpolate. Extrapolate is when the answer is on the outside of the scatter plot. Okay. So very good. All right. So very good on that. All of that is excellent. Okay. So now I know where we are. So we need to do correlation and coefficient. Did y'all type the scatter plots in the calculator?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. We'll probably have to do a little bit more of that. Thank you so much. We'll probably have to do a little bit more of that. So that was your page, what? She gave that a page. What y'all number that page? 16? 16 and 17 or what?
We ended on 15. That was our last official page.
Last official page with me was 15, right?
Yeah, recursive and then that was it continued. And then one of the subs had us take notes on the video.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so 16 was that one. And then
That goes with it. And then that was another video.
okay, so 16, 17 is the video.
And then scatter plot notes that went for that thing.
So what number of page was that scatter plots note? Because I don't see a page number for you.
I'll connect it to you.
You put that 16. What number did y'all put the scatter plot notes? Where's your notebook? All right. So we're on page 17 then. Is this going to be 17? Is that everybody's page 17 or no?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense to what now?
I think it makes sense to do that because the other notes that they kind of take was just off the video, so we're not all gonna have the same thing.
Okay. All right. So let's just make this 17. So the notes that she gave you, that's page 16, okay? Yes, make that just page 16 because everybody's is a little different. They numbered it 17 and so let's just make all of what she gave you 16. Yes. Go ahead, babe. All of what she gave you, number that 16. And then this will be 17. Let me pause because I'm taking up time. You need a hall pass, yeah. Red. All right, so again, correlation coefficient, the relationship between quantities in a scatter plot. It also tells you the strength of a scatter plot, which is better known as the correlation coefficient. All right. This is what the letter for correlation coefficient is going to be R. Okay. The number for that is going to go from -1 to +1. Okay. R is only between -1 and +1. There's no such thing as an R that's outside of -1 and +1. It's only between -1 and +1. That's it. We're going to put 0 in the middle. Okay? All right, so I'm going to start with 0 in the middle. 0 in the middle means that there's no correlation. There's no correlation. None whatsoever. So if your R is 0, it's absolutely no correlation at all. The closer that your R gets to 0 makes it a weaker correlation because 0 means no correlation. Okay? Let's start with positive 1. Positive 1 means that the scatter plot forms a perfect positive straight line. Okay? So this is a perfect straight line right here. This is a perfect straight line. The points form a perfect straight line, which means this is the strongest correlation there is. Strongest positive correlation. So if your R is equal to a 1, that means those points form a perfect straight line. It's the strongest positive correlation that there possibly is. On the opposite of that, this forms a perfect straight line also. But what's the difference, you think? It's the strongest what? Negative correlation. That means the line is a straight line. It's a perfect straight line going down. Those points form a perfect straight line going down on a scatter plot. Okay? So it's the strongest negative correlation that there is. Okay? You okay? All right. In the middle of that, though, the middle is right here and right here. This would be a negative point what if it's in the middle? This would be a negative 0.5, and this would be point what? 0.5. This is moderate. It's in the middle. It's just moderate, It's right there in the middle. This is a moderate positive, right? Correlation. And this is a moderate what? Negative correlation. Okay, any questions about that? All right. Yes, baby. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so here, this is where it gets weak. Anything that's under 0.5, this is going to be weak. All of this in here is weak to no correlation. The closer that it gets to, honest to goodness, the closest that it gets to 0, there's a no correlation. And this, again, this is a weak positive. And this is a weak what? Negative. Anything in here, the closer that it gets to a positive 1, this is going to be strong. So it's just getting stronger. This is a strong positive. And what would this one be on this side?
Strong negative.
Strong negative. Any questions about that? Okay, so now we're going to find the correlation coefficient, how strong the correlation is of a scatter plot in our calculator. Okay, are you ready? All right, so let's cut our calculator on. And we're going to go to stat. If I lose you, just tell me to slow down, okay? But we all need to do this together. I'm going to try to go slow so that we can, so that I don't lose anybody.
What'd you click
I just clicked on stat. I can clear it first. 2nd plus 7, 1, 2. Everybody remember how to clear? And I press stat first, okay? I'm going to press edit because I have to type in the points for the scatter plot, okay? So we are going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and 5. I'll do that. What you need, baby?
I'm trying to find what that works.
Okay. All right. We'll go over to the L2, which is going to be our Y values. And let's start off with 8. Let's go up to 10. Then let's go up to 13. Then go up to 20. And then go up to 21. Okay. We know this is going to be a positive correlation because as X increases, Y is also increasing. Yes. I went to stat first and enter on edit. Okay. Now you type in your X values under L1 and you type in your Y values under L2. Are you good?
Yes.
Yes.
What is L3 used for?
If you want to create other lists. Okay. All right. Okay, so now from here, we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and graph the scatter plot. So we're going to go to second, Y equals. I press the yellow button and Y equals. If your screen doesn't look like mine and you need help, please raise your hand. Okay, press the yellow button and the Y equals. Yellow, Y equals. Do you see it now? Okay. Are you good too? All right, so now do you see these are different plots? We only want to do one plot. So press enter on that first one. And now we're going to cut it on. So you see where on is flashing, press enter so it switches from off to on. This first option is the scatter plot, so leave it. Our X values are in L1. Our Y values are in L2. The mark that I want to keep it here because if you use these, it's going to be hard to see on the graph. So I just leave that alone. Any questions about that part? All right, so now we want to create the X and Y axis. Go to window. My X values don't go past what? I forgot. 5. So I don't need all that. Go from -1 to 10. I don't need all that extra space. That's plenty of space right there for the X values. I'm going to go up by ones because they're close together. There ain't no need to go up by anything else. My Y values go from what to what? 8 to 21. So I need something a little smaller than 8. So let's go from 0. And you said 21? Let's go past 21. Let's go to 25. And I can go up by ones. Or I can go up by 2s. That doesn't matter. I don't want to go up by 5s because that ain't much space, right? All right. X rest stays the same. And then let's press graph. Okay, so now we see our scatter plot. Any questions about the scatter plot?
What does the X minus mean?
It's just like, I don't even remember. I think it's like the speed or something.
That's what
It
Grandma
means
was
something.
asking the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's like the speed or something. It serves no purpose for that. You just keep it at 1. Yes, baby.
Can you go back to the window part? I didn't.
Window?
Yeah, my phone's in the window.
You see it? Let me know when you have it so I can move on, okay? Pause right here. You got it? Okay. You see down here at the bottom where it says catalog in yellow, okay? So we want to access the catalog by pressing second catalog. And this gives us a whole array of stuff, a long list. So we're going to go down until we find correlation. Is it my diagnostic? Sorry. Diagnostic on. Sorry, y'all. Make sure that you get there. I don't want to move until everybody get there. Are you? Come on, you gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. Please get off your laptop. Pay attention. Diagnostic on. Don't be confused by the one that says diagnostic off. Please go to diagnostic on. Yeah, baby. Negative. Oh, press the damn arrow. Oh, because you didn't type this. You typed it in mine. It's supposed to be this. Yeah, you're using the wrong button. You got to use a negative. All right, press enter here. And then press enter. And what does it say? Done. Okay? All right, so now go back to stat. Go over to calc. Go down to lean red. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Okay? And then press enter. Okay? Your correlation coefficient is the R right here. Is it strong? Is it moderate? Is it weak? This is strong. A strong positive or negative? It's a strong positive. So this is a strong positive correlation. All right. Okay, we'll continue this tomorrow. Please put your calculators back.